Good evening, everybody. Before we get started tonight, just a couple of notes. One, it's a beautiful night out tonight, and I'm really glad we get to be outdoors. I would ask that, as much as possible, we remain in our seats tonight. Obviously, with the exception being if you need the restrooms or concessions. The restrooms are located over in the field house on the back here, and we do have our junior class tonight selling water to benefit their class as they become seniors going into next year. So I just wanted to note that at any point through the night, if you need either of those, obviously please feel free to take advantage of that. At this time, I would like to welcome the Conant High School, Jaffrey Ridge Middle School faculty and staff. It's time. Ready to go? At this time, please rise and join me as we welcome the Conant High School class of 2021. The class of 2021. Please remain standing as our class vice president, Benjamin Kutchin, comes on down to the podium to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. While Ben is making his way down, I did want to say a few quick thank yous, including to our guest marshal tonight, Miss Horn. You'll notice she was not in the program, but she stepped in to fill in for us tonight, and we greatly appreciate that. I also wanted to say a quick thank you before we really get started to our Conant High School facilities staff, our IT department and our communications coordinator, our school secretary, Karen Estes, the junior class for their help setting up this evening, and many others who I could probably not list and still get them all. So thank you to those individuals. Here's Ben with the Pledge of Allegiance.
You lied to me. I don't have. Hello. All right. Sorry, I was just checking. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now please remain standing for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening once again, and welcome. My name is David Dustin. I'm so pleased and proud to be the principal of Conant High School. On behalf of the entire Conant High School community, I would like to welcome everybody to tonight's commencement exercises. The first thing that I want to say this evening that wasn't a thank you or some directions on where to be and where to go is a huge and heartfelt and well-deserved congratulations to you, our graduates, the class of 2021. We are so proud of you all. Thank you. As each of you sits here before your teachers, family, friends, loved ones, and community members, I hope you're taking some time tonight to be in this moment. Appreciate the work you've done to get to this point and recognize, by all the hard work and all the people who are here to see you, how much you're all loved and appreciated. I know that where you're sitting now, it's easy to blink and miss tonight's celebration and the experiences of your graduation from high school. But as all of us know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and this is a moment for you. I really would challenge you to soak it in. Look around. Be thankful the sun isn't beating down as you're sitting in black robes on metal bleachers. I got to add that in because it's a little bit cloudy. Appreciate being together as a class because you won't likely all be together again. This is the last moment you have as a group. I also want to recognize that your class, the class of 2021, is a unique group of individuals. And I'm not saying this because you experienced COVID-19 for over a year. I'm saying this for who you are and for what you achieved in spite of that. I had the distinct privilege of teaching many of this class when they were freshmen. In fact, you were the last group I will likely ever have taught in high school inside of a classroom. Seeing how you've learned over the last 4 years since you were freshmen sitting in my world history class, seeing how you've changed, how this small group but very powerful group has impacted our school makes me proud to have known and to have taught many of you. To me, the impact that this small but potent class leaves behind is what makes you unique. As you enter the next exciting moments of your lives as adults in the community, I encourage you to take the perseverance you've been forced in this case to adopt, and have done so largely with grace, and to always apply that strength of will and that desire to succeed to everything you do from this point forward. Life after high school can be jarring. We all know that. You're about to see that. But you can be led in different directions if you let yourselves. If COVID has taught us anything, it's that we can push ourselves further than we think possible and still come out on the other side stronger, and I think you've shown that. Class of 2021, we, Conant High School, will always be your school, and we will always have your back. As you move into your adult lives, don't be afraid to look back and visit us, but also keep your eyes forward on your goals and the wonderful futures that we know you have ahead of you. We are so very proud of you, and once again, a huge congratulations to you, the Conant High School class of 2021. At this time, I would like to once again call Vice President Ben Cutchin down. He's going to be introducing tonight's guest speaker. And in addition to Ben's introduction, there's a bit of information that nobody knows, but I will share now about our guest speaker. And I'm not going to name this individual because that's Ben's honor. But this individual receives a second honor from this class by being selected as the honored recipient of this year's yearbook. Some of the quotes that went along with this teacher makes learning fun. We work hard, we learn a lot, and we still have fun. She cares about us. She does much more than teach. She advises clubs and chaperones events. We're so lucky to have her. I'm so glad I had her as a teacher. She makes us think. I learned a lot from her. So we'll tuck that extra honor in with being tonight's guest speaker, and I'll let Ben take it from here.
Hello again. It's my responsibility, and far more importantly, my honor, to introduce our well-respected and dearly loved guest speaker, Anne-Marie Oshiak.
Good evening, class of 2021. I hope you'll pardon me, but I'm still calling my Krubels one last time. Your class was my first introduction to Conant. In case you don't remember, here's how I first met some of you. On the first day of school, we do epithet name tags. You know, things where they say Oshiak, lover of autumn, or John, player of soccer. And in one class, a student who shall not be named said, "Hi, I'm blank, owner of a dead pancreas." Later that year, In another class, some of you called me over to entertain serious theories about Atticus cheating on his wife with zero textual evidence, while also practicing martial arts moves and thinking I couldn't see that in my peripheral vision. Others of you, I found out, have an incredible infatuation with Taylor Swift, and honestly, I'm still not sure why that is. Some of you I got to know in advisory. The phrase, "don't worry about it," is forever part of my repertoire of responses to students now. Thank you. Some of you I didn't meet until journalism class last year. During one class, there was a certain group of boys, and they were talking about how they drive down the highway and clocking speeds at like 120 miles an hour. And I looked at those boys, horrified, and I said, "You guys do this at night, right? Like when nobody's around and there's no cars around?" And the boys looked back at me, equally horrified, and said, totally serious, "Miss Oshiak, do you know how dangerous that is?" Each class has their own personality, and they leave a very unique fingerprint on the school. Your class? Many of you have been examples of quiet leadership. There was that assembly your junior year in the fall. The classes were playing musical chairs and running to grab items from your friends in the bleachers. A young man with a very clear disability was playing, and the chairs were thinning out. And what happened next happened quickly and quietly. One of you noticed, and as you ran by me, I saw you pull aside another student who was about to knock this young man out of the game. And very quietly you said, "Think about what you're doing right now." That match sparked a fire of enthusiasm as your classmates caught on and cheered on that young man to win the game. Others of you have organized blood drives single-handedly or taken up the mantle of assembling the yearbook as a crew of one. You did these things without being told, and you asked for no recognition and no reward. And yet I will tell you, we recognized it. Quiet leadership. Your class has also shown an incredible capacity to care for others. Over these 4 years, I've listened to stories of you opening up your homes for friends who were suddenly without theirs, pulling over your cars in the rain to drive peers to their jobs or to school, worrying over friends struggling with mental health, organizing surprise birthday parties, and celebrating hot girl summer by spending nights at each other's houses. You have shown up to funerals for people you might not always have gotten along with out of respect for your friends. And some of you are working jobs where you love and care for the elderly like they are members of your own family. You've also lost a lot. You mourned the passing of 2 students these past 2 years, and then a global pandemic decimated your last year and a half. School has been hard. Your lives have been hard. For some of you, your lives were tumultuous pre-pandemic, and they continue to be tumultuous now. But as I've tried to impress upon you in class and in all the conversations we have, you can do difficult things when you are called upon to do them and when life demands that you do them. Every single one of you is stronger and smarter and more incredible than you might realize. You already possess the tools you need to get you through dark times. Your class, for example, understands the importance of laughter. Why else would some of you suggest that I listen to WAP? Because it means women are powerful. P.S., that was a lie. Your class understands the powerful bonds of friendship and community, whether it be gaming on Discord, FaceTiming during remote learning to cry about my assignments, flying down to the Carolinas for a family wedding, or taking night hikes up Mount Monadnock. Where you need work, however, is making bets and games of spoons. After tonight, many of you will leave this place behind and never look back. Some of you have even written breakup letters to Conant. I imagine them playing to Ariana Grande's Thank You Next or Taylor Swift's We Are Never, Ever Getting Back Together. So before you go, I'd like to give you a few last assignments. And yes, they're summatives. Read, whether it's the Bible or best American sports writing, John Grisham or Nadine Gordimer, The Handmaid's Tale or The Hate You Give. Read everything you can, whenever you can. In his novel Coraline, Neil Gaiman writes, fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones, reminds us that a mind needs a book as a sword needs a whetstone, if it is to keep its edge. Maybe some of you will even read the Odyssey for real this time. Learn to cook. Some of you have confessed to me that your kitchen skills begin and end with grilled cheese and whatever can be microwaved in a minute or less. And I know some adults here tonight are going, amen, Mrs. Oshiak, amen. Learn your way around a grill this summer, even if you drop a burger or a hot dog in the slats. Play with a recipe you've never tried. Bake something from scratch, even if you burn it or you learn the hard way that frosting cupcakes is harder than it really looks. While you're at it, cook with your friends. Cooking with others and for others is good for your soul, and you will learn things that will help you in all aspects of your life. Creativity, patience, perseverance, and attention to details. You can start with that TikTok pasta that's gone viral. And finally, practice living your life using the 50-50 rule. When I was talking to some of you about your post-high school life, I jokingly asked a student, so, do you think you'll go to all those college parties or go to your classes first semester? Are you going to be able to balance it all? And she shrugged and smiled and said, probably 50-50, you know? And I thought that was a good answer. Work hard, but don't forget to have fun. Fun refills your emotional buckets. As adults, it's easy to forget about the importance of fun, of laughter. Sometimes if we have children, they remind us, but too often we're caught up in the stress of our jobs and our lives. Getting to know you these past 4 years has brought me much joy and laughter, and quite a few other teachers from what I hear in classrooms and down the halls in the mornings. Thank you for the daily reminders and the memories. Okay, so maybe your class hasn't left a fingerprint. Maybe it's left a giant handprint on many of our hearts here at Conant. So that's your homework. When you leave here tonight, grab a book, a spatula, and go have fun. With much love. Class dismissed.
Thank you, Ms. Oshiak. We will now hear from 3 members of the class of 2021, starting with the class president, Samuel Kallick, who in addition to his address to the class, will also be presenting some gifts. Come on down, Sam.
Hello. A lot of you parents might not know me as I only joined this class at the very beginning of freshman year. So, unfortunately, I was not able to grow up with this class. I say unfortunately because while very enjoyable people, this is also probably one of the most backwards and confusing group of kids I've ever met. So, like in class, all full of energy, full of mischief, that kind of thing. And then when it comes to helping out with school fundraisers and the like, all of a sudden everyone's way too tired. with that being said, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the parents. Sorry. The parents of class of 2021 have been instrumental in our class events. We've had a hard time with the whole fundraising thing, and it was especially hard with the lack of effort given. But I'd like to take a moment right now to thank each parent that has helped out with our numerous fundraisers and events. So, as I name you, if you could please stand up, and then at the end, if we could give a round of applause worthy of the effort they have put in. And I apologize if I miss someone. If you know that you have come and helped, then please stand up. So, will Mrs. Mackey, Mr. and Mrs. Widener, Mrs. Olson, Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler, Mrs. Weinhold, Mrs. Gagne, Mrs. Tremblay, Mrs. Seppala, Mrs. Kettela, and Miss Leones all please stand? And please, a round of applause. We seriously would not have been able to have the shockingly good class trip and prom that we had this year without their help. So, regardless of our organizational shortcomings, I strongly believe that despite the truly unique and sometimes clashing personalities of our class, that is what has made this group of individuals such a memorable one for me. And finally, I would like to thank all the teachers that have endured our especially energetic class, but specifically, first and foremost, it is Miss McCarthy's last year teaching here, so I would like to acknowledge that and all the help that she has provided to students of hers and just friends of students of hers. She's willing to reach out a hand to anyone regardless of whether she has them in her advisory, her Spanish class, and I know that influence will be missed in Conant for the next however many years. And of course, Mr. Dr. Love and Madame Blaise, they held the class officers together, especially during COVID when we weren't meeting in anything. So a round of applause for them, and I would like to call them up to receive the class gifts as well. It's a long walk. So the whole point of this is for me to address the class, so I thought I would share an ongoing class joke that I think perfectly encapsulated our years here. So, as I mentioned before, class participation in fundraisers was scarce, and there was, for the last 2 years, we've joked that the senior trip would be walking to Humiston Field, because we couldn't afford a bus, we couldn't afford any activities anywhere except for, of course, walking to Humiston. So the class trip in comparison to what was expected was excellent. So thank you again, parents. And that'll be it for me. I'd just like to say thank you for coming to support my classmates. And I figured since, this is celebrating a group of teenagers, you should probably hear gratitude from at least someone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, class officers. Next, we will have a speech from the salutatorian for the class of 2021, Alicia Mackey.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, sorry about that. And thank you so much for being here, all of you. Before I begin my riveting speech, I would just like to take a moment to thank those who have gotten me and the rest of the class to where we are today. To the teachers, administration, families, and friends, thank you. But this speech isn't about you. It's about us, the class of 2021. My speech tonight here will be twofold. First, I would like to encompass the class of 2021's shared experience at Conant as best as I know how. Afterwards, I will directly address the class and share a final farewell. To begin, I wanted to summarize the 4 years that this class has spent at Conant. The problem is, I have the memory of a goldfish, so I'm going to need some help from my fellow graduates. I went back and took a look at the senior bio section of the yearbook, specifically the Remember Whens. You see, I didn't want this speech to just be about me and my experience at Conant, so I thought I'd see what everyone else's most memorable moments were. For instance, when Jacob christened the track, or when Dr. Love split his pants at the hiking Mount Monadnock with us. Another highlight was getting a 2 weeks vacation in March of last year. Thank you, Erin, for always finding a silver lining. But overall, there wasn't much to see there, and it seems as if everyone else in my class also doesn't have very many memories from the past 4 years. But you have to give us some grace. The first 2.5 years of high school for us were pretty typical, minus the fact that we got an entirely new administration, completely switched grading systems, inherited a whole middle school, and are now forced to be called learners instead of students. But the last 1.5 years have been anything but typical. What began as an excuse to miss 2 weeks of school turned into over a year of remote learning, not being able to see each other's faces, and being robbed of so many important events. Seriously, we were just about to win the homecoming float contest for the 4th year in a row. So you can't blame us for not having as many happy memories from high school as other classes, because our experience just fell short in many ways. The past 4 years have seen this class through a lot of changes, not just with Conant, but with us as well. We've all grown into literal adults, well, most of us, a dramatic change from the people we were when we first walked into those double doors as freshmen in 2017. Along the way, we've lost more than our fair share of classmates, but we've gained some as well. We've changed friend groups and bonded with teachers, even if we drive them to insanity more often than necessary. We've gone outside of our comfort zones. Some of us joined new clubs or teams, others traveled abroad. Some even gave acting a try by participating in one-acts. No matter what they did over their 4 years at Conant, everyone sitting behind me has many memories. Some good, some probably bad. All of us have that favorite teacher or that class we always slept through. We all have those friends we are going to miss like crazy next year and those we hardly know. As far as high school experiences goes, this class especially has had a pretty mixed bag. While we lost out on a lot of things, we've also seen incredible support from our community. A lot of things have had to change or be adjusted over the last year, and a few of these changes have been for the better. For instance, I know a lot of people have been trying to move graduation here to the track for years. Now here we are, in the middle of June, in direct sunlight, wearing black robes. Thanks for that. No, but really, this class will probably be remembered as the class that graduated during a pandemic, but there are so many other things that we did during our time at high school that deserve to be remembered. The championship titles, the contests we won, all of our achievements that make up the legacy of the class of 2021 deserve to be remembered. As a class, we may be small, but we have made an incredible impact on the school. Now it's time for the obligatory farewell address to my class. Late last week, I wrote a letter for Dr. Love's final. Thanks for assigning 7 summatives in the last month of school, by the way. I appreciated that. I wrote this letter to Conant, a breakup letter, if you will. In it, I said that overall my time at Conant was positive, but that I was glad to be leaving and moving on with my life. Because honestly, many of us have loved our time at Conant, but hated it at the same time. My hope for the class of 2021 is that your 4 years of high school are not the worst 4 years of your life, but that they aren't the best either. What do I mean by that? Well, there will be things in life that are harder for us than high school. After all, outside the walls of this school, there are a lot of unknowns. But I also sincerely hope that none of us peak in high school. Honestly, that's just depressing. We all have futures ahead of us. Some will move away, go to college, or join the service. Others will stay, start a career, have a family, do all of the adult things that await us in the real world. But the point is, our lives will not be dictated like they have been for the last 18 years. We get to have a say in what we do. We get to make plans and decide what kind of people we want to be. I know earlier in my speech I talked about our legacy as a class and remembering us for the things we did during our 4 years. But when you think about who you are as an individual, don't define yourself by what you were in high school. You will go on and do bigger and better things, as they say. Or maybe you won't. Who's to say? It doesn't matter, as long as we are living our lives in a way that fulfills us and doesn't leave us with regrets. For anyone who still doesn't know who the class of 2021 is, let me introduce them. They are future doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, business owners, writers, chefs, photographers, cosmetologists, soldiers, and parents. Don't remember us as what we have been. Remember us by what we will be, because that's what matters. To the class of 2021, congratulations. I may have seen some of you for the first time in a year on Tuesday at practice, but I think you all are important people with important futures ahead of you. So go on, work hard, stay out of the court logs, and take time to figure out who you want to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last learner speech tonight will be delivered by the class valedictorian, Megan Graff.
Wow, that is a hike. Okay, sorry. Anyways, good evening, faculty, administrators, friends, family, and of course, my fellow graduates. Looking back on my 13 years in the Jaffrey Range schools, I recall one incredibly important event. It was at RMS, in kindergarten, the penguin waddle. We got to decorate eggs and put together paper penguin hats so our parents could come in one afternoon and watch us waddle across the gym. We spent days talking about it, and I was totally giddy at the thought of this penguin waddle. Then the moment finally arrived. I was supposed to walk across the gym with a fake penguin egg between my legs and a silly penguin crown on my head in front of everyone and their parents. And I couldn't do it. It was too far outside of my comfort zone for me to do something like that in front of even the smallest of crowds. I cried as I watched my penguin class waddle away. To this very day, I still regret chickening out of that kindergarten penguin waddle. So here I stand before you now, and I am without a doubt out of my comfort zone. I've still always hated standing in front of the class to give presentations, or when my turn came to read aloud. I'm pretty sure poetry out loud almost killed me sophomore year. But these are things that I did, and I grew from. Each time I actually decide to take a risk or do something I'm not completely comfortable with, I come out this other side better off. I've learned and grown from each of these experiences, big and small. Of course, there is comfort and security in what we know, what we've personally experienced, and what's familiar. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but we must step outside of our comfort zones from time to time. Otherwise, we can't grow. Like with anything, comfort zones vary from person to person. That's kind of how they exist. Some of us excel in situations where others struggle, and in other situations, the roles are often flipped. For example, there are plenty of my peers who are much better equipped to be standing up here and speak confidently in front of a crowd, and there are also plenty of my peers who are much more comfortable playing a sport in front of a crowd. There are also many of my peers who would prefer for their art to be admired by passersby. We all have our strengths and areas of excellence, and we all have things that lay beyond our comfort zones. But most of the time, we remain safely in these comfort zones, in our day-to-day actions, our thoughts, ideas, and values. The people we talk to and how we talk to them, the radio stations and music we listen to and how we think about them. It's also everything we don't think twice about doing, which can become very dangerous as this leads to complacency. Over the past year, the relationship between comfort zones and complacency has become much more apparent to me. Complacency hides within our comfort zones, but it has no place there. Just as stepping out of our comfort zones can nourish our own personal growth, it can also serve to be greatly beneficial to others. As the fragile world we live in was flipped upside down in many ways in the last year, it wasn't an easy adjustment for any of us. None of us are all-knowing or familiar with everything, but that is not a free pass to be inactive. Complacency has allowed so many of us to avoid protecting and standing up for those around us, our neighbors, our peers, our coworkers. Taking even small steps out of our comfort zones has proved to have the capacity to be life-saving. However, complacency has allowed us to put our own simple comforts, not necessities, over the health and safety of our communities. We cannot choose to turn a blind eye to the world around us simply because it is easier and more comfortable if this choice puts others in danger. Many of us act as if we don't read about it, hear about it, look at it, it doesn't exist, because that provides us comfort and security. There's comfort and security in ignorance, but ignorance leaves no room for growth or compassion or change. So as we walk across this stage in a few minutes, or pull out of the parking lot, or turn the live stream off at home, let's all pause to consider how we might be able to take a step, or should I say waddle, out of our comfort zones. Let's consider listening to the voices we often discount. Let's confront intolerance instead of letting it slide. Let's stand up and advocate for those who need us to, including ourselves. It might not be easy or comfortable, but let's try to take the time to consider our actions, both personal and interpersonal, and consider how they may impact our own growth and the community if we took a few steps out of our comfort zones. To my fellow graduates, let's take advantage of this opportunity to learn and grow as we step out of the familiarity of the school system we've been in for 13 years and out into the world with real issues that cannot be ignored. This is the perfect time, as we step out of one stage of our lives and into the next, to make some changes and not only expand our comfort zones, but exceed them. Remember, if you ever get the chance to participate in a penguin waddle, don't pass it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Next, for honoring the military and members of the class joining the military, I'd like to call to the stage Mr. Thomas Meehan.
Our Jaffrey Range Middle School, Conant High School STEM teacher, Thomas Meehan, enlisted in the United States Army in 1980 and attended boot camp and advanced individual training at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. He was stationed in Fürth, Germany in the 1st Armored Division. His military occupation specialty was a 64 Charlie. Mr. Meehan received an honorable discharge and found his path to our school district to teach science, math, and now STEM. Mr. Meehan will now recognize the Conant class of 2021's enlistees in the U.S. military. When Mr. Meehan announces your name, please stand.
Thank you. Can I have the list? Okay, I got it. Okay, gonna check my memory as an old man. If I could start with maybe having the veterans that are here tonight, if they could stand, please, if we have any. Thank you, men and women. Thank you. Thanks for your service. We've got some graduates that will be joining the ranks, and my honor to introduce them to you now. Forgive me if I get the military service wrong. The branch that you're joining, I know from my memory of reading the paperwork the other day, we'll start with our two Marines. Joining the Marine Corps are Mr. Labonte, Private Labonte now, yes, and Mr. Weinhold. Guys could stay up, please. I believe Eamon Thomas Gregory Dowd is joining the Army. And we have a Navy enlistee too, Benjamin Douglas Hampson. Good luck, men. Thank you.
All right, graduates, we're nearly there. Before we get to your diplomas, we have one more speech from our superintendent of schools, Mr. Reuben Duncan, who would like to say a few words of congratulations.
Well, good evening. It is definitely a privilege to gather here with all of you tonight to honor a group of learners who have successfully completed their education experience here at Conant High School. Graduating class of 2021, this is a special day for you. This day represents many years of dedication from the community, parents and grandparents, siblings, teachers and support staff, and of course, most of all, from all of you. It is a time to celebrate, a time to reflect on your many accomplishments up to this point, and also a time to start to continue to formulate dreams for your future. As you leave Conant High School and enter the next phase in your lives, let me encourage you to consider something. Now, there's quite a bit of literature and commentary about what a successful individual possesses or what characterizes a successful person. Not all the lists are the same, but here are some of the most common characteristics of successful people. Self-discipline. The belief that you can accomplish what you set out to do. The ability to communicate well. Resiliency. Belief in yourself. Persistence. Patience. A desire to continue to learn and unlearn and then learn some more. Flexibility in thinking. All of those concepts and more are important for future success. But I'm just going to take a few moments to talk to you about the habits of mind that I believe to be the most important out of that list. Some of them have been mentioned this evening already, actually, in several of the speeches. In order to be successful, and it really doesn't matter a great deal what you define that as, we all have a picture in our minds of what success looks like and what it feels like. In order to be successful, we need to know that it won't be easy. Sure, you can believe in yourself and you can believe that you can accomplish what you set out to do, and you can communicate well and have a desire to learn. All those are necessary to be successful. But what happens when things get difficult? When life doesn't go as planned? When what you believed to have been your best effort or your best work, and it turns out to just not be enough for a professor, from your boss, from a friend? Achieving your dreams, experiencing the fullness of a loving relationship, having job satisfaction, and making a true, lasting impact on others and on society. All those can be compromised if perseverance and resiliency is not part of who you are, part of your being. Without the ability of, or the mindset to persevere, the harder it is to reach lofty, meaningful goals that you set for yourselves. You have likely heard the phrase, anything worth having is worth working for, or a different variation of that is, anything worth having is worth fighting for. Hard work and perseverance is necessary to accomplish goals and to reach your dreams. But even when you persevere, and I think that it's likely that you have faced this year, because I think that your group here has had to persevere perhaps more than most. Frustration, difficult times, letdowns, and hurt all occur. It's when those things occur that resiliency is needed. Perseverance speaks more toward sticking with something. And when you stick with something, you also need to be resilient, which is the ability to handle disappointment, adapt to the situation, manage stress or heavy feelings so that you can persevere. All those things which are important to your future, career, family, service toward others. Goals in those areas can be difficult to achieve or to experience in their fullness. But they are all very well worth having. So they are all well worth working for, worth fighting for. And to work to reach your goals will take those two items of perseverance and resiliency. The ability to persevere or to be resilient is not something that you just have or something someone can just give you. It is something that you build over time through experiences. Experiences at home, at school, at a job, in the community. Some of the markers of individuals who are successful, resilient people match up very well with several of the experiences, and again, we've heard these things tonight about this class. Some of these items include consistent involvement in and appreciation of the arts, involvement in athletics, being an active member of a faith-based community, service to others. It helps to have all of you out here as well, supporting them, family and friends. All of you on stage tonight, receiving your diplomas, have demonstrated a level of perseverance and resiliency in order to have even reached this point in your education. And although this graduation marks the end of something special, there is so much more that is out there for each and every one of you. So as you navigate this stage of your life, whatever that might look like, I encourage you to aim high and work hard to reach your goals. Keep persevering when things are difficult and continue to build the resiliency needed to successfully handle those difficult moments. Class of 2021, You are an amazing class with a great deal to be proud of. Our community has been enriched by your achievements and your contributions. And I wish to take this time to thank you for the impression. I liked what was said earlier tonight, for the handprint you have left on our school and on this community, and to congratulate you on this very impressive achievement, your high school graduation. May your lives be marked with perseverance and resilience so that you can have a full experience of what life and love have to offer. Please join me, everyone here, in a big round of applause for this graduating class, the class of 2021.
At this time, we proudly present the seniors to receive their diplomas. Brian Harold Colmorgan. Quinn June Dowland. Jacob Arthur Tremblay. Alden James Davis. Benjamin Lucian Lane Cutchin. Abigail Page Friend. Kylese Alana O'Neill. Summer Lynn Deaton. Michaela Emily Paquin. Vita Veronica Eck. Jonathan Nicholas Souls. Finally, Jonathan Nicholas Souls. Hunter Chase Connor. Jared Nicholas LeBlanc. Kobe Ryan Bedard. Christopher Allen Miranda. You did it. Megan Elise Graff. Tiffany Begayan Marat. Shay Riley Wilkins Fleck. Lauren Beth Lucharv. Eva May Shirey. Samuel Balfour Calick. Eamon Thomas Gregory Dowd. Ethan Robert Weinhold. Hayden Bennett Kettela. Evan Andrew Cook. Isaiah Logan Olivo. Eliza Grace Hill. Sarah Honore Smith. Sarah Antoinette Michaud. Abigail Elizabeth Wheeler. Jamin Marie Taylor. Evan Gerald Bailey. Benjamin Douglas Hampson. Chase Walker Griffith. Versailles Joseph Crow O'Neill. Christopher Roland Wilson. Joshua Cody White. Colson Douglas Seppala. Griffin Michael Labonte. Dylan Liam McKenna. Seamus Dean Robbins. Alicia Jean Mackey. Elizabeth Ann Gagne. Victoria Lee Fayer. Violet Lori Janelle Brown. Erin Rose Widener. And Jasmine Taylor Miller. Thank you.
I now present to you the graduates of the class of 2021. Thank you, Atlas Pyrotechnics, for that amazing send-off for our graduating class. That was pretty incredible. Give me a second here. Okay. At this time, I would like to first dismiss our teachers for the faculty and staff recessional to the back of the crowd. Graduates, hold one moment, please. Teachers. Our graduates, when they are recessing, will be heading down the center aisle. And families, please remain in your seats or at your seats standing until the graduates have reached the back of the field, and then please feel free to join your newly graduated seniors. For their recessional tonight, the seniors have chosen the song Time of Your Life by Green Day, also known as Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. Uh-oh.
It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Don't even give me a sign. I'm so proud of you guys.
So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.